Okay, so we are going to go into Erickson and Freud. So let's start with the id, the ego, and the superego. If you've ever seen an old Bugs Bunny cartoon, best way to describe the id, the ego, and the superego is the angel, you see the angel and the demon on their shoulders. The angel representing the superego, where we are above the id. Um, and it assists in making us more cognitive behavior decisions, while the id represents more animalistic um, wanted desires, and the superego, of course, is the individual. I'm sorry, the ego is the individual in the center where they make the decision. Um, he also has different stages in life. There's oral stages where between 0 and 1 years old, the infant is weaned off of the breastfeeding. Then there's the anal stage where between years 1 and 3, the child needs to control his bladder, can be against being potty trained. Um, then there's phallic between the ages of 3 and 6, between both female and male. Freud's for males, they have the Oedipus complex, where they want to be with their mother and not and have their father involved in the family, while excuse me, while in the for female they have a penis envy where they want a penis. Um, in latent phase between 7 and 13 years of age, sexual energy is not motivated, and there's no conflict at this time of growing up. Um, Last but not least, for Freud is the genital phase between puberty and death. There's an interest in sex to finding a sexual partner. Now, when we also look at Erickson, let me pull up his information. He actually has some. Is this recording? Yeah. Okay. He has his work is based off of Freud. So there are 8 stages for Erickson. There's infancy, between 0 to 18 months, where it's trust versus mistrust. Children develop a sense of trust when their caregiver provides reliable care and affection. And if there's a lack of mistrust, early childhood autonomy versus shame and doubt. Children need to develop a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. Success leads to feeling of autonomy. Failure results in feeling of shame and doubt. Preschool age between 3 and 5 years of age. Initial versus guilt. Children need to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Success in this state leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. And then there's the school age between 6 and 11. Industry versus inferiority. Children need to cope with new social academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feeling of inferiority. Adolescence, identity versus role confusion. Teens need to develop a sense of self and personal identity. Success leads to the inability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion and a weak sense of self. Young adulthood, intimacy versus isolation between the ages of 19 and 40. These adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships, while failure leads to loneliness and isolation. Middle school, middle adulthood, 40 to 65. Uh, Generativity versus stagnation. Adults need to create a need or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having friends or creating a positive change. Success leads to uh, feelings of usefulness and accomplish, while failure results in shallow involvement in the world. Maturity, between 65 and death. Ego identity, versus despair. Older adults need to look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. Success at the state leads to a feeling of wisdom, while failure results to regret, bitterness, and despair. When I look at Virginia Sator's uh, 6 stages of change, they all kind of, I when I compare Freud, Erikson, and Sator, I see a lot of relateness. I see a lot of similarities. Ultimately, one of the biggest ones that I see is the introduction. I see the introduction of foreign stages, or a foreign element when it comes to like Freud, the oral stage when they're weaning off, the phallic stage, the anal stage, and when you look at Erickson, the when children or teenagers start becoming wanting to become more independent, and obviously chaos does take a role in its own right, and integration, where where you reevaluate and let go of old ways of being.